I'm Nancy Palmer. I'm the Executive Director of the Georgia Craft Brewers Guild, which is the trade association that represents all of the craft breweries in Georgia. So it was a 3-year process, and at the end of this 3 years, we were able to present the governor with a bill that allowed breweries to sell beer direct to consumers on premise for both consumption in pints and also beer to go. We're the last state to pass this tasting room law. And what that means for us is we can look to all the other states and see kind of what they did after that and after that. Traditionally, what you see is a push towards self-distribution first. Self-distribution, instead of what a tasting room is, which is selling direct to consumer, self-distribution is selling direct to a retailer without using a wholesaler. Generally, that's done in a very limited way or only by a limited number of businesses that are only of a certain size. So we see that in about 36 states. And then the next step is something called franchise law reform, which is complicated, but in short, it is a rearrangement of the relationship between craft brewers and wholesalers to be a little more favorable to the craft brewers. And we see that in 12 states now. What we need to do here in Georgia, I'm not entirely sure what the next step is. I think that those traditional things are on the table, but I also think that we're going to be talking about shipping of beer. We're going to be talking about alcohol delivery in the state of Georgia. We're not the only ones that are driving this conversation about what's next for beer in Georgia. There's a lot of people who are interested in this. It's also worth noting that Georgia is the 4th largest manufacturer of beer in the country. It's not just us, not just craft beer. We've got 2 Miller Coors facilities and a Budweiser facility in the state of Georgia. We make a lot of big beer here, and it's a big industry. So it's important for us to be careful when we make changes and also be mindful of not just what we want, but the whole industry and what that looks like in Georgia.
So it's definitely a game changer for us. We just sort of fell backwards into Grant Park, but we couldn't have found a better place. This community is awesome. It's just kind of it's its own little tucked away hole south of 20. Nobody from Atlanta thinks that there's anything south of 20, but it's this big, beautiful opportunity down here.
So what's interesting is 75% of the breweries in the country make fewer than 1,000 barrels. I have 0 of those breweries in Georgia. 0, not a single one. So 75% of the marketplace everywhere else is totally missing in Georgia. And I think that says that there's other states where this is very much a viable business option to make fewer than 1,000 barrels, to sell it straight out your door. And I think particularly in small towns is where we're going to see a lot of that. Right now, the Guild is tracking 145 breweries in planning. And I can tell you only about 40 of those are Metro Atlanta. Only 60, maybe 70 are in the kind of larger Atlanta area. So a lot of them are looking at, I've heard of companies from St. Mary's to Twin City to Bainbridge to Valdosta. I think there's a lot of opportunity for very small local breweries, 2 or 3 employees, 3-barrel system, couple of fermenters, open a couple days a week. You can do that almost anywhere.